Welcome to String Orchestra class. I'm Mr. Lambert, and I'll be going over with you the supplies you need for class. So, right now, grab your instrument, grab any supplies you have, and if you have them, you might also want some masking tape, a Sharpie, and a pencil. Go ahead, pause the video, come back when you're ready. Okay, so of course the first thing you need is an instrument. If you play violin, viola, or cello, you need fine tuners. If your instrument does not have fine tuners on the tailpiece, then you need to bring it back to the store and ask them to put some fine tuners on. This is how I'm going to be teaching you how to tune your instrument, and you will need these, otherwise you won't be able to. If you play bass, you'll notice there are no fine tuners. Basses have a mechanical peg, so you don't have to worry about that. Along with your instrument, you should have gotten a bow. If you play bass, there are actually two different shapes of bow. We have a French bow and a German bow. We're going to be starting with the French bow in class, but after a little bit, then I'll be teaching German bow as well, and you can choose whichever is more comfortable. Next thing you need is a case. You want to make sure that your case has a name tag. Fill it out with your name, your address, your phone number, so that if you misplace it and someone finds it, they can return it to you. If you don't want to give out your own information, you can always put the school's information on there too. Next is rosin. This is a supply that's used for your bow. If you don't have rosin, your bow will not make a sound. This comes in a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different shapes, but none of that really matters. Don't get the expensive stuff because honestly you won't be able to tell the difference. $2 rosin is just about as useful as $20 rosin. The only exception is if you are a bass, there's only one type of rosin I want you to get. Since the bass strings are so thick, you need extra sticky rosin in order for your bow to really make a good sound. If you need to, you can use violin rosin, but it won't be as easy to play. For bass, I recommend getting the Pops brand. I've tried out a bunch of different brands. This is by far my favorite. The next thing you will need is a supply cloth. You can get these at the music store for like $5, and it's a nice fancy cloth. Or you can use any type of cotton cloth, really. You can use an old sock, a wash rag, anything that's cotton. And just make sure it's clean. You don't want your foot juice on your instrument. Next is a music stand. If you wanted to, you could pay out for an expensive, awesome one. But these ones you can get for as low as $5 instead of $50. And so you might as well just get one of these to start with. The next thing is going to depend on what instrument you play. If you play violin or viola, you're going to need a shoulder pad. I recommend that everyone get an Everest shoulder pad. There are other shoulder pads that look like this, but they're not this. They will either damage your instrument or they will break really easily before the year's even done, so get an Everest brand. Now the Everest work real well for about 9 out of 10 kids. There are some kids that this is too tall on because their neck is too short or they're just physically too small. And for those types of kids, then you might want to get a foam shoulder pad. These are really cheap, and these are not for everybody. They're uncomfortable, they don't hold the instrument as well unless you've got that certain body shape. But if you do have a foam pad, then you will want to get one of these rubber bands from me. They're kind of a special length, they fit the instruments real well. Then if you play cello or bass, you're going to need this. This is a rock stop. This goes on the ground, your end pin goes into it so that when you play, it does not move. If you don't have one of these, then anytime you play on a hard floor, your instrument is going to scoot away from you. You're not going to be able to play well with that happening. So you can get either a round one, or they make these kind of fancy ones that have a V in them, and then they have a strap that attaches to your chair or your stool. Makes setup a little easier because once you've adjusted the length, you never have to touch it again until you grow anyways. But really, any kind of rock stop is fine. And the last supply, this one is optional. We have these for use in class, but for tuning at home or for tuning at festivals or at concerts, you might want your own. So the best kind is to get one that has a clip. This clip includes a vibration sensor. And if you play violin or viola, you can get one of these little ones. They're a little cheaper and they're all built one piece. They go either on the bridge or they clip onto your fingerboard. We'll talk more about that when we learn how to tune. If you play cello or bass, you have to be careful which tuner you get, because not all of them will pick up the sounds of your low strings. They will say that they do, and if you go to the music store, the people there will say that they do, but they don't. And in fact, for anyone, there is another option. Since I do have these available at school, at home, if you have a smartphone or a tablet, you can download a tuning app. There are several that are free, and my favorite one in the world, I use it even more than these, although it doesn't have the clips, so I can't do it when someone's making a sound. But my favorite one in the world is only like $5. We'll talk more about the apps when we learn to tune too. So I hope you have all these supplies. If you don't, then go out and get them. There's a couple music stores in town, and any of them will really have the supplies. And then just make sure that you have your name written on your case, on your book. You can even write it on the bottom of your rosin if you want. You could put it on your music stand. If you have a black one, then I have silver Sharpies that we can write it on in class. Or you can use masking tape. And even on your Everest shoulder pad, if it's a different color, you can use a regular Sharpie, or we can use a silver one. There's not a whole lot of room to write on here, so I would just put your initials maybe. And even on your tuner, go ahead and put your name or your initials. Basically, if you leave anything behind in class, we need to make sure that we can get it back to you. Otherwise, you might lose it and it might be gone forever. So, label your things. Okay, till next time. Ciao.